First of all, Kelly, thanks for coming in today. I saw on your chart what they had you listed in your intake was you were worried because you got a call from your father saying that he'd recently been diagnosed with Huntington disease.
He has been, and I know so little about it, and I'm just really scared.
Okay, that's understandable. Do you know anything about Huntington's before I get too into any of the details?
I really don't, and he's showing very little symptoms so far, so I don't even know what to expect.
Okay. Um,
I'm starting just at the beginning here.
okay. Well, I guess I'll try to give you the basics to start with, and you can ask me some more questions afterward
Okay.
to fill in. I'm going to start by taking what we
Okay.
call a pedigree.
Sure.
It'll just be kind of a graphical representation of everything I can see about your family
Okay.
and the disease. Are you comfortable with this?
Yes, that's okay.
Okay. Do you know if he had testing specifically for?
He did.
Okay, then yes.
And they said it was certain, but okay.
It hasn't presented until this point, but if they did the testing, then yes, he does have
Okay.
Huntington. Um, how are you feeling about that before we get into any more?
I'm so overwhelmed.
Okay.
Again, because one minute he's healthy and the next we find out about this disease, and just knowing that it's going to get worse from here, I'm terrified to watch the progression of this
Right.
and see him suffer through it.
Okay. So I'm hearing you say that it's kind of just overwhelming. All of this comes at once, and you're not sure exactly what's.
I think I'm still in shock a little bit with we're all arguing because we all want him to live with us, but I mean, he doesn't want to have to choose between the three of us either.
You have a brother and a sister.
Mm-hmm.
What have you talked through the pros and cons of who is closest to your dad, maybe, or who is
Right.
just most able to have free time to help with him because he is going to need a lot of attention.
Right. Well, my kids are a little bit older than my siblings' kids, so I thought that I might be in the best position to take care of my father because my kids will be out of the house sooner
Right.
than my nieces and nephews will be.
Right.
However, that being said, my dad and my brother have always had a bond that my sister and I haven't had with my father. So
Have you considered how you might approach this? Because sooner or later, you're going to want to have these conversations with him, especially before the disease progresses, and you want to be able to have these conversations while he can still have them fully.
I didn't think about that. I am kind of working with a limited time frame, aren't I?
Somewhat, yeah. I appreciate that it seems rushed because it's all so sudden, but the sooner we have these conversations, the earlier he's having them as himself and as
Okay.
unbiased and capably as he can. No one should be feeling guilty right now.
Okay.
It's just part of how we're made up. It's no one's fault.
Okay.
It just happens to people. But we do have to live with the consequences of our own biology.
Okay.
Uh,
Is
now-
there a way to find out if maybe I have it or?
there's testing. I think before you consider testing, it would be useful to think, well, you have to decide if this is something you want to know. Will you be happier just living your life and what happens, or knowing concretely that within 5 or 6 years, things could start to turn. And
I
this
think.
sorry,
Oh, I'm
continue.
sorry.
No.
I think for me, it's terrifying the thought that I would know. But at the same time, the thought of not having that information to give to my children, it's my daughter who's 19, and who knows when she might actually want to start a family. I think I'd want her to know.
Right.
Can you tell me what would you do as a genetic counselor in this situation?
I can tell you what I would do, but I can't tell you what
Oh.
to do. This has to
Okay.
be a very personal decision.
Okay.
What I would do is I would speak with my family members and decide, okay, what are we going to do if I get this test and it comes back positive? How are you all going to feel about that? What's it going to mean to my children? What's it going to mean to me? You have to think, do you want to live the next 5 or 6 years without knowing and just hoping for the best, or do you want to know definitively? And it could come back that you're going to have disease symptoms in the next 5 years, or you could come back and say you're fine and you'll live the rest of your life. Once you do make a choice, if you decide not to follow this up, it's going to be the last time we talk. If you decide to go ahead and get testing, we can set up an appointment for you, and we can talk through everything that
Okay.
involves as well.
Okay.
Okay.
That sounds good then.
Do you have any other questions for me?
Not at this point, no.
Okay, Kelly. Thanks for coming back in today. Previously, you called up and decided to go through with the testing, and we called you back because your results are in.
Okay.
Before we get to the results themselves, do you have any questions or anything else you want to talk about with me?
I'm just not even sure that I want to know them. I'm so scared. I almost couldn't even get in the car to come in here today. I mean, now that I've gone through the testing, I'm so worried about what I'm going to find out. And I thought I wanted to do this, and now I know I need the results. I want the results, but
Okay.
I'm just really nervous. So
You
nervous.
fully thought through all the
I
implications?
have thought through it. I did the pros and cons. I decided with my family that this is what I was going to do, so I am going to stick to that. I'm just really nervous.
Okay.
But I do. Okay.
You ready for the results
Yes,
then?
yes, I am.
Okay. Well, the labs came in, and it looks like you have the same gene as your father does. So
Okay.
you're probably going to develop Huntington's disease. It's likely that you'll start developing symptoms within the next 5, maybe 10 years.
Goodness. Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot to hear. I
Yeah.
think I'm pretty sure that's what I expected. I didn't think it was going to be good news, but
How are you feeling? What
like my life is it's just completely off course at this point.
everyone reacts to bad news differently, and the big thing is just figuring out a way for you to just start before you even get into anyone else at this point, for you to process what's going
What
on
it means
for
for
you.
me.
Yeah, and just some way that you can just work through all the different everything that it means to you
Right.
is important at this point.
Okay.
Do you have any way that you like to process things? Is there anything?
I am a huge believer in keeping a diary, but
Okay.
I've never had to write anything like this.
Okay.
And I don't know. I guess maybe it would be helpful to put some of my thoughts
Yeah.
down on paper.
A lot
I think it's going to take a long time for me to process it.
Sure. A lot of people taking a journal or a diary isn't for everyone, but if you already are taking a journal, it could be a great way for you to help. Just as you said, yeah, process and see, just get your thoughts down and really just start piecing through everything.
Okay.
There's a lot of things we can get to later, but I think for right now, the most important thing is helping you figure out what it means for you.
I guess I can do that. It hasn't hit me yet. I'm in shock.
Right.
So it's going to take a while for this news to sink in.
Sure. We can schedule another appointment later, and then we can
Sure.
just talk over more of what it means for you and what it might mean for anyone else. We can get there when we get there.
Okay.
But for next time, we'll start a journal.
Okay. I'll do that then.
I'm sorry I had to be the one to tell you this, but
No, I decided that this is what I wanted, so that's okay.